Well, after 2 weeks of looking back at some of the best films from the previous year, we have finally reached the end of the 2019 edition of The Quest for the Best. So I guess all that's left to say is farewell, so long. I don't know the rest of the words of this song.
I do, but I'll spare you it.
Thank you. We can't get copyright claimed. Okay. Yeah, I will admit I kind of saved this movie for last, simply because the name is The Farewell, so where else are you gonna put it? In the middle? That'd be stupid. But this film, I hadn't heard a lot about, other than just, it's good. That's all I heard. And it's a super indie film. And as soon as I turned this thing on, the A24 logo came up, so I was like, good, super indie. Yep, alright, I should have...
Good old A24.
Should have known this was coming. The company that will make really depressing indie films and horror films where you don't know what the hell is going on in it. This one's not a horror film. This is a movie all about this girl, Billy, who she is going back home to visit her grandmother in China because there is a wedding that they're going to have for her cousin. And she finds out right before going back that her grandmother is dying of cancer and she's only got about 3 months left. However, as the film makes clear to you, there is a tradition in Chinese households that when you learn that one of your elderly relatives is about to pass away, you don't tell them, and you act like everything is normal, because you don't want them to suffer. You don't want them to be afraid for the last couple months of their life. You want them to go about acting like everything is normal, which I've never heard about this.
Neither have I. This is new to me.
Yeah, but the film comes in here and goes, no, this is like a thing in China. So, all right, I will assume that you guys know what you're talking about.
We have no say in this.
I don't know anything about that. So,
by the way, you saw this movie and I didn't.
We should go ahead and make that clear, and I feel very bad that you didn't see a lot of the best films of the year, but you watched all the worst. All the worst films of the year you watched side by side with me.
I feel like you need the emotional support more for the bad ones than for the good ones.
That's true. Also, I feel like you maybe not would have enjoyed this film that much. Well, you probably would have enjoyed it, but you had a very close relationship with your grandmother. And this film, for anybody out there who has that close relationship with their grandmother, it's gonna hit you hard. This film will hurt you at times, because this entire film, it's her going back, being around her family, like her mom, her dad, her uncles, her cousins, her aunts, and they're all there, just surrounding the grandmother, and the grandmother is acting like everything is normal. And then you just keep cutting to all of them having to act like everything's normal, but you can tell from the expression in their eyes, no, it is not. They cannot deal with this. And that is the first thing that I have to give this film. This film has the best subtle acting I have seen in anything this year. Because you'll have people saying things like it's perfectly normal, like everything is fine, but then their eyes are just completely heartbroken. And I love that Billy is not really used to this tradition. She grew up in America. She doesn't know that this is what they do in her family. So when she's back there, they're trying to explain to her, you can't do it. Like, they originally didn't even say that they were going to go and visit their grandmother. They were going to, like, sneak out in the night and just leave Billy in America. And she's like, why on earth am I not allowed to come? Because you can't hide your emotions. You would give it away instantly. So Billy goes over there against their wishes and shows them, like, I didn't know you were coming. And she's just trying to tell her, no, Mom, look. See? I got this. I can, like, yeah, put me in, coach. I can go in there and fake being happy. It is such an interesting dynamic in here. I've never seen a story that's really got a premise like this. A premise that lends itself to amazing performances, which that's something I have to give everybody in this film. Everyone in here is great. I mean, a lot of people were talking about Awkwafina, who's playing the lead of Billy, and yeah, she is marvelous in here. She does a wonderful job in this film. But everyone, even the smallest actors, even the actors who have almost no lines, like I said, the main performances aren't even in the lines. It's in the eyes. It's in the, okay, yeah, hey, it's okay. Oh, yeah, Mom, okay. Yeah, you just sit down, Mom. Everything's gonna be just fine. Okay. And then their eyes are just like, it's not fine. Nothing is fine. I love, sorry, we've recorded many things in a row, so my voice is destroyed. I love the performances in here. They've really amazed me. But that is pretty much what the film is. This is not a film where they're trying to, like, find out some way to break the news to her. That's something that I kept expecting all throughout this, and I don't even feel like this is a spoiler because I'm just telling you, this is the premise of the film. Don't go into this film expecting it to be about, okay, when is the big emotional revelation where they tell the grandmother that she actually is dying, where they actually tell her this, and then she has to process it, and the family has to face what's going on. No, that's not what this movie is. This movie is they go home for the wedding, and it's the family having to suffer in silence. And I know that does not sound like a good time in the theater, but man, if you just want to sit there and just really go for, I don't even want to say an emotional ride, because when you say an emotional ride, it's like highs and lows and ins and outs and backs and forths.
An emotional journey?
A journey even implies that, like, you're still going on a distance. It's like an emotional spa. That's the best way to say it.
Because you just soak in your emotions.
Exactly. That's what this film is. This film is not like, okay, rising and falling of the emotions. This film is, here's the big tub of emotions. Just slowly ease yourself in there. Every now and again, we'll sprinkle some rose petals of other emotions on there and put, like, little cucumbers of other emotions on your eyes. But that's the movie. This movie is you just sitting there, just soaking in everything that's going on. Just, you're at that dinner table with them. You're not there with Billy going like, okay, I have to figure out how do I break this news to her. The only time that Billy really brings up the idea of breaking the news is when she does confront the family about like, yeah, this is kind of bullshit, right? Doesn't she have a right to know? But they always kind of have a good argument coming back. They always have a good argument of, what, so she can just feel terrible for 3 months? So that you can ruin the wedding that she's been looking forward to for so many years now? Why? What will this do? And you're just sitting there like Billy, just like, yeah, Peach is really fascinated by what I'm doing with my hands. Hey, buddy. And yeah, like, the grandma has no idea. The grandma is just like, oh, yes, everything is absolutely fine, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you here. And then you look around, and it's a bunch of fake smiles like, we're all happy to be here, Grandma. Everything's fine. And what I love is that it's not like, there's like almost 10 people in this family who are at this table, and none of them are really showing their emotions in the same way. Everybody's kind of dealing with this in their own way. Like, you can tell that Billy's mom has a much more interesting relationship with her mother-in-law than her husband has with his mom. Like, both of them are kind of dealing with this in different ways, but again, they have to act the same way. But it's all in the subtle things that you see the differences in there. Except for one guy who isn't really so, it's her cousin. And the cousin, man, they talk about how Billy shouldn't have come along because Billy didn't have a good poker face and would give them away. This poor kid. This kid doesn't say anything about the whole thing. I say kid, he's an adult, he's getting married, but he's still one of the youngest guys there. He doesn't say anything. He just, every time that she's like, I'm so proud of you for getting married. This guy constantly has a look like a deer in the headlights of, I don't know how to process all this information. He's just like, he doesn't even like do anything with his arms. He's just got that feeling of, I don't know where to put anything. I'm not gonna move. I'm just gonna get through this. Everything's gonna be okay. All right.
So, like, do they actually show them getting married in the movie?
Yes, that actually does happen.
Okay, because it seems like everyone's so obsessed with not breaking the news to Grandma that it feels like they're not that concerned about the wedding.
That's the thing, but the wedding is used to kind of show the day-to-days of what they're going through. Because, yeah, they have to get this prepared, they have to get that prepared, they have to get this done. And there's a moment in there in which the grandma is going up to the chef going, we ordered lobster, but you brought crabs. No, you ordered crabs. This is a complete ripoff. We ordered lobsters. And then it cuts to one of her other sons over there. And he's just leaning over there in the background, just staring at the grandma. And you can tell, without him saying a word, what is going through his mind is, these are the final moments of my mom's life. These are the final moments. And she's spending them arguing about lobsters and crabs. That's what she's doing. And you can tell he doesn't even like what they have to do here, but he knows it's kind of for the best. And yeah, it's little things like that. And there are moments in which they get away from the grandma and they do actually talk about this between each of themselves. And I love those moments in there because it really was kind of like a release valve. It was the only moments in which they were allowed to get anything out there. Mm-hmm. Like there's a moment in which Billy is, there's no room for her to stay at the house, so they had to go to this new hotel that got built. So her uncle is walking her back, and with her parents, she was a little bit more open about what was going on, but she was like, well, yeah, but they're my parents, so I can't really argue with them on this. But with the uncle, she was like, so this is it, huh? Yeah. No, nothing at all. Nope. No, and you can tell the uncle is just like, this is some bullshit. Like he's practically smoking, and all the time you're just like, this is just fucked up, man. Like I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, we're not gonna tell her, and that's how it is. That's what we're gonna do. It's a shitty situation, and there's not an answer to it. And that's kind of what the film is, and that's what a lot of other indie films are out there. They're filmed there not so much about exploring the shitty situation, it's about accepting that there's a shitty situation and you can't do anything about it. Which I guess that is the growth. Like, I'm phrasing this like there's no emotional growth or anything in here. Nobody really changes throughout the course of this film. It's just you sitting with this terrible situation for a while. Peach really wants that hand. All right, there you go. But no, there is growth in here. It's just subtle stuff because it is Billy having to learn that, yeah, maybe this is for the best, what we're doing with my grandma right here. And it's the story of Billy having to basically experience the last time she's going to have with her grandmother. And knowing that's this very odd way. That's what the story really is. It's not so much the story of this family having to hide that the grandma is dying from the grandma. It's the story of Billy having to spend one last time with her grandma, and she can't tell her all the stuff she wants to tell her. She can't tell her all the things she's been holding inside because that would spoil it. So it is really tense, and she kind of has to learn that's the situation. But even still, even with that, the grandma does pass on some lessons. At the very end of this, you see that Billy has taken some things she has learned from this final confrontation. Confrontation, that sounds like it was harsh. Conversation, sure. This final time that she spent with the grandma, I'll go with an easy word. She has taken some stuff from that. She has learned some stuff even from this moment with all that. Yeah, it's, as I said, this has my favorite subtle acting of anything I've seen this year. It's a very subtle film. It is a film that is not about anything really big happening. I know that a lot of time when people say, oh, well, it's nothing really huge, they typically say that stuff to kind of like make fun of like, I don't know, superhero movies or Fast and the Furious movies. It's like, there's no car chases or explosions, if that's what you're looking for. No, man, I mean like just in terms of like other movies that are about a family coming together and learning lessons from each other. It ain't even big stuff in terms of the things that happen in those types of movies. This is a movie about trying to take away the little things that you can take away from the uncomfortable final situation that you're put in with a family member and realizing that there's nothing you can really do about, but maybe that is for the best. There is stuff to learn here, but it's all very small and subtle. And I like that about this movie. I really did.
You talk about like emotional growth even though nothing really happens, but it's like, I do believe people can grow emotionally by enduring.
That's a good way of putting this.
Enduring situations that are uncomfortable.
That's exactly what this film is. You nailed it in one. You didn't even see the movie. Way to go. Oh, man. I'm glad I didn't do this review by myself. Man, you got that right. That's exactly what this is. The journey of this is enduring. That is what this is getting through this uncomfortable situation and realizing that there are lessons to take away from all that and seeing how you are changed by all that. I love this. I love this film. And I was kind of going back and forth on my score on this thing up until the very end because I was like, yeah, but for something that's this emotional, I feel like I should have been hit a little bit hard. And then like the final sequence of the movie. I'm not gonna spoil what it is for anybody, but the final sequence of this movie, I was like, yep, here come the waterworks. Here they come. I can feel them coming on right now. So yeah, I'm gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. I really did enjoy this movie. I think that this thing was excellent. And again, so many of the other movies that I've seen this year, it's been big stuff. And again, I'm not even talking about, like Endgame or any of those kind of things. Which I'm not saying that to diminish Endgame in any way. If you've watched this channel long enough, you know I'm not diminishing Endgame. But I mean, even like the other dramas that I've seen this year, like 1917. It's a war drama, so there are explosions, but every single emotional thing that happens in there is a big emotional thing. Or Knives Out. Tons of basically cartoon characters running around in this murder mystery. there's so many. I'm just spoiling what my best films of the year list is right now.
But you're not doing it in order.
But not in order. Or like, Parasite, which we talked about that. That was the film that began the quest for the best this year. Parasite, yeah, man, there's lots of subtle messages in there as well. But holy crap, those are huge dynamic characters in here. And the characters in here, they feel so real. And they feel like this is a real situation and we gotta get through this. And we have to just hold that shit in. And it was so refreshing to see something this different. I know that I am hyping this up while at the same time making it sound like something that a lot of people out there probably aren't gonna want to watch, but I love this, man. If you want one of those films that is just like, it's a day where I'm just gonna take 2 hours to just sit down and kind of just soak in my emotions, this is the film. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. But that was it. That was the quest for the best. We are done. We are absolutely done with all of our look backs. There are other films out there that I wanted to see that I didn't get a chance to. Ford vs. Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit. What the hell was the other one? Marriage Story. Yeah, I wanted to look at all those, but we gotta move on. We gotta eventually do our best films of the year list. However, I am going to still see a couple of films from the previous year, and when the Oscars roll around, we will do our big, not review of every single one of those films, but we will do our little discussion about, all right, here's who's nominated, here's who we want to win, here are our thoughts on those films. So I will come in and talk about those movies then. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Peach is very fascinated by me right now. Look at them. Oh, look at them. Look at them. There. Look at them. Dance. Yay. Good girl. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oof.